Now let's look at the barriers to energy audit implementation after the audit. Now, one of the barriers is that they don't have the financing or the people resources available to implement the audit. Now, I've just talked for 5 or 10 minutes about that. You should have managed this pre-audit. If you're only asking these questions at the end of the audit or after you've done the audit, you've made a mistake. Now, I realise that pre-audit, it's not that perhaps comfortable to talk about what their budget is to implement, or they may say, oh, I'm just relying on the energy audit. You've got to be a little bit pushy there and say this is my experience with energy audits, they don't get implemented if you've only got wishful thinking, if you don't have a firm budget and so on. Try to push them a bit and say, look, you can even say, look, I'm not really that comfortable asking you these questions, but I want to provide value to you. In order to provide value to you, I need you to know what you're going to get and what you're not going to get from the energy audit. So have that conversation, and I think you'll be much better positioned. Okay, but now let's look at some genuine issues after the audit that the client will have. Number one that the client may not mention, and may feel a little bit ashamed to mention, is that, you know what? They actually don't trust the advice in the energy audit. I just better whisper that. They don't trust the advice in the energy audit. Shock, horror, they don't trust the advice that you provided. Why may they not trust the advice you provided? Possibly you've done the energy audit and then they've gone to their local electrician and gone to their electrician who's worked for them for the last 10 years, an electrical contractor, and the electrical contractor says, no, that's rubbish. So even though the electrical contractor may be wrong, perhaps they've got more influence than you do. So during the audit, you're going to have to start to manage these relationships with contractors and find out who the trusted advisors are of the business and pull them into the energy audit process, get them buying into the energy audit by asking for their opinion, by bouncing ideas off them. You could even ask for a budget up front for you to engage, for the client to allocate some contractor hours to work with you, so that then you started to deal with these things about lack of trust proactively during the audit. The other thing that doesn't engender trust is, in actual fact, in the energy audit industry, unfortunately, has a bit of a reputation for over-promising savings and underestimating costs. I see a lot of energy audits come across my desk, and it's a very common problem, unfortunately. Savings have been overestimated and the costs underestimated, perhaps even by a factor of 2 or so. The business case is actually a lot weaker than is actually presented.